So this is really where the stripology ruler comes in handy. Of course, cut it wrong and you're going to be in big trouble when you have this many all at once. And I didn't cut all the way through. I kind of wondered. I should have gone back through the slots before I moved my fabric. We're going to have to do this. I tell you what, let's try the rest of these. Make sure they all got cut all the way through. That scrap. Get rid of these. Cut this. I kind of didn't know if I was feeling it all the way on the end one, and of course I wasn't. This is where I end up costing myself time because I want to go ahead and sort them out so that they're scrappy, but it's a controlled scrappy. Also, I'm noticing this one I should have probably fussy cut. So I may look at that when I get done with these and actually go back through and try to fussy cut, because that looks like a pumpkin and a ghost, and that would have been a whole lot better than just orange. A little witch and a little kitty. See, that I could have fussy cut that. Alright, go back and look at it. I'm betting there's maybe one other one that, although I don't know that I would have got anything much better than that, or obviously that was already the way it was pinked on the strip, so that was all I was going to be able to get with that. So that was actually pretty good. Alright, this is what my quilt's supposed to look like when it's done. Or not even really quilt. I should just say table topper. In fact, I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess they've said it as a quilt pattern, but it's a table topper to me. So that's what it's supposed to look like. And mine, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, it looks okay if you don't look too close. And when you look close, you realize I got some mistakes. So I was really tired when I was reading the pattern. My other mistake is the fact that I accidentally cut too many 2.5-inch squares. I wasn't thinking. It said to do, I don't know, whatever count it said to do, and I accidentally left my strips folded up. So I have a whole bunch of 2.5-inch squares left here, and then this was what was left from the strips. So I'm going to come up with something scrappy to do for the backing, and I'll probably try to keep those as long as I can and use the 2.5-inch strips there. Kind of frustrating because I would have literally just used the 2.5-inch strips and just sewed them together and put the strips on the back. But this way I'll come up with some blocks, and maybe I won't even use it for the back. Maybe I'll just make a whole other table topper. We'll see. But anyhow, just pointing out my couple little mistakes here that I'm going to fix, but I'm going to fix them later. You can probably see now on the one ghost. You can probably see my little mistake. I didn't see it until I started sewing on the white border strips. And I thought, oh well, I'll just go back and I'll just applique them. I didn't feel like ripping all that out. So you can see right here, this is supposed to be, this strip right here is actually supposed to be flipped around and be in place of this strip right here. And I must have figured out something and switched the direction of the block on this one. I don't know exactly, but anyhow, this little tail is actually supposed to be right here. So I will probably just do something like that and just applique his little tail on. In fact, honestly, he probably wouldn't need a little tail there, but this is a distraction right here. So I'm gonna just go ahead and finish up this top, and I'll just applique this little piece on later on. And honestly, nobody will notice the difference if I do it well enough. If I don't do it well enough, people will notice, but yeah, it's a patchy quilt. And it's my quilt, so I don't really care. Or table topper. Alright, and then for the binding, I'm not real sure what I'm going to use just yet. So I've got a couple choices here. So in the picture, they have just straight black for the binding, and I could do that. I've got some black, but I kind of wanted to use some fat quarters, possibly. So this is all the same print right here, but I was trying to lay out enough of it that I could kind of see how I like that. And then I've got another one. Sorry, I'm going to move the camera. Got another one right here. It's also gold, just a little bit different design. It's like swirlies. And so I thought about that one. And let me move the camera again real quick here. And then I actually have this one right here, which is silver stars. So I'm leaning toward this one, just because the silver stars, I think, goes with the white and the white border. And I don't know if you can see my white on white border there. It's actually triangles, but it's kind of, it was about the only thing that I could find that kind of goes with a Halloween fabrics. So other than just plain white, and I didn't have any plain white, I just have white on white. So, but yeah, I'm leaning toward using this one for the binding. And then the two here with the gold, I think I'm actually going to cut those up and use them along with the backing. So I'm going to actually figure out a plan here. Hopefully not take too long here, and figure out a plan and design a backing using these scraps and these two black and gold fabrics here. And like I said, I may put it together and decide that I just want to do a solid backing for this and use that other scrappy piece for an actual table topper. We'll see what happens, but for right now, this is what I'm thinking. Yeah, I think the silver for the binding, and I'll cut up the gold to go with the scraps, and I'll see what kind of backing I can come up with. And if it's really nice, I'm going to use it for another table topper. Alright, so you saw there that I've done my squares out of the scraps, and so now I just need to get them all pieced together. And I'm correct, I actually have decided that this is going to be a different table topper, and so I'm going to use something else for the backing for my boo quilt, and then I'll find the backing for this as well. So I've got 3 picks here for this one, and I think whatever one I pick, I'm actually going to do the same backing for my Boo table topper as well. I'm calling it a table topper. It could be a wall hanging, but I'm going to use it on the top of a table. So, and then this one I will probably either save to give to a friend or potentially put in my Etsy shop. I'm not sure. We'll see. If I do that, it probably won't be till next summer, just because it's so late, so close to Halloween already. So, but yeah, for backing, what do we think? So this one is probably too much rust. It does kind of blend okay with like this square right here, but honestly the other ones are, this is really, really pumpkin orange rather than the rusty color, so I'm not real sure if I love that. So let's see, next I had picked out a dot orange fabric. I thought, well, that would go with the dots that are in the squares. Let's see if I can put this one. Should have picked out a different block here. Well, I don't know that I'm going to be able to fold it up to see. So I was kind of thinking it blended fairly well with this one as well. I don't know if I can get you close enough to see that. I may have to put in a picture later. That they are not nearly the same, but it has kind of the same vibe to it as this line does. But it is a little bit too peachy for some of the oranges and rusts and browns that are in this. So I'm not real sure about that one. And then I actually picked this one out of my stash, and I think this is probably what I'm going to go with, just because I think it has kind of a magical theme to it. Let me try to get real close so you can see this one. And it has keys and stars and moons, and it just has kind of a magical theme to it. But I don't really have anything else to use it with, so that might be why this is going to go on the back. Not really the exact right orange. Well, I tried to put it down on the table and you can't see the table, so not the exact right orange, but on the backing I think it'll be all right. And I don't necessarily, like I said, I don't know how exactly to use this in another project right now, so to me that makes it an easy choice to use this for the backing for this scrappy project. And actually I forgot, for my Boo quilt I have a different backing over here. Let me grab it and I'll show you. Sorry about that. I actually just pieced together some strips that I had from other projects that I decided I'm not going to use this anymore for any more fronts. So it'll make a cute scrappy backing. And honestly, if it's not perfect, it's going to go on the back. So, hey. I do like the backs to look nice too, but they're not going to be as seen, so sometimes it's a good way to use up some of those things that you don't necessarily know how to use on the front of a quilt. So at least that's what I like to do. So yeah, so some of these items were not necessarily ones that I would have walked into a quilt store and purchased. They came in a bundle that I purchased through So Yeah, and it is good fabric. It's just not something that I necessarily know how to use because I didn't get the matching pieces, or because I don't have any pieces that I can match to them. Yeah, so like this will match well enough if it's on the back. And I could have made it work in here too. I could have done some smaller strips and I would have been okay with it. It would have been a little more scrappy than I would have liked, but it would have gone nice and it would have been fine. But I love ones like this where this is all the fabric that the designer made, and she made them to blend and go together. And then sometimes I can throw in something that I feel like I like and it works. But sometimes I take something like this and I just can't quite tell myself that that's good, because everything else was from the designer and this is one that I threw in, and I can tell that I threw it in. Okay, so I just have to get the rest of this piece together, and then I'll come back with, well, hopefully I'll be able to come back with finished projects. If not, thank you for watching, and I'll try to show you this in the next video. But hopefully I've got a couple more days and I should be able to get this completed. So, and then I actually am already working on some other projects for the next videos. I'm really liking those too. Well, I'm going to have to be really careful here because I forgot to do something that I said I was going to do with this particular little wall hanging table topper. I am actually going to try to face this. I know I'm going to have to use the selvage in order to do it, but I'm going to try to face this. I've got plenty on the sides, just not, or on the top and bottom, just not on the sides here because of the selvage. But I think I will just try to wrap that around and front it. But in order to do that, I need to actually scoot this to the back so that I can cut the extra batting off correctly. And in order to scoot it to the back, I probably shouldn't have taken my quilting all the way to the edge. That would make it a whole lot easier to cut the batting at the edge if I hadn't quilted the backing all the way up to the edge. So I will fold the backing under, and I'll probably actually cut the batting just a little ways away from the front, just to make sure that I don't cut into the backing. It's not the end of the world if I do. I just won't front it. I'll just find some binding strips and put on there. But I thought if I can, I would prefer to front this quilt. So maybe I'll give it a 1/4 of an inch. No, I don't want to do quite that much. I think if I just do a hair, and I'll just kind of feel my way along and make sure that I'm not, or we'll do one of these. Nope, no backing. Alright, I think that went pretty well. Let's find out. Oh yeah, so I don't have a lot of backing. I may need to take my scissors along and trim it up just a little bit more. Not sure I'm exactly square on this, but it's alright. I'm probably like 1/8 of an inch off. So yeah, using the selvage isn't necessarily a good idea. We'll see how much I get out of the other. Yeah, because it's going to have the Mm-hmm. We'll see how much I get out of the other sides. If that's the worst that's across the front, not a big deal. Because honestly, I probably won't notice it unless I was looking for it. Yeah, I don't think that would be the end of the world if I had just seeing that. But if I'm seeing a lot of the holes from the salvage, that may make me change my mind. Because I'm going to see some of the holes along here, and that's going to wear over time. And on the other hand, it's just a scrappy little table topper, so not too worried. So I managed to get my spare quilt done. I actually just fronted the binding on it. So I managed to get that done. And the quilting is really hard to see, which is actually an okay thing to me, because I still don't do a great job of free motion quilting. But I put stars and pumpkins and moons on it. And they're not too bad. I'm glad they blend in pretty well. But yeah, so I got that one done. Actually, you can see on my back I had a couple of puckers and a couple issues there, but actually that was probably the worst side. I probably should have flipped it over to this side. Well, it's not really puckered, it's just crinkly there. But yeah, so my quilting wasn't great, but it didn't do too bad. And so now I just need to get my actual project finished. So I have mostly done. I just haven't quite finished putting the binding on the back. But for the quilting on this one, I just went with some simple swirls, and I tried to kind of put a little bit of texture in the ghost, like it's flowing. And then I just did the stars and moons and pumpkins and the scraps there. But yeah, so I got my binding on. I just haven't got it completely finished at the back. So I'll get that done, and hopefully I will actually be able to get this up on the wall by Sunday. And I can at least enjoy it for a day. Or 2 days, I guess. But anyhow, so I hope you're all having a good weekend, and thanks for watching.